Good day, everyone. My name is Michael Hurd with ADHD Expression, and I'm joined here today by Jason B. Bour from Tennessee.
Good to be here, Michael.
Good to be here. And Jason, you're the owner at A New Beginning Coaching Services, and you've been doing that since 2009?
2009, that is correct.
All right, so do you yourself have ADHD?
I sure do. I was diagnosed when I was 35 years old, so
Oh, wow.
I spent 35 years of destructive behavior, of course, not knowing about ADHD. And of course, when I was in high school, I didn't have ADHD. I was lazy. I was immature, silly, not applying myself, not living up to my potential. So, of course, all that negative feedback that was coming back towards me really set in a lot of insecurities about myself.
Oh, certainly.
Because we just didn't know.
No, you didn't know.
And as hard as I tried, I just couldn't get things going.
Mm-hmm. So, how did you get things going? Like, what happened at age 35?
I had a saltwater aquatic store in Smyrna. Just wasn't making a go of it. Had to end up closing the shop down with about $20,000 in debt.
Ugh.
And of course, I was starting to think about all the stuff that the jobs I've been in and out of, and friends I don't have, so to say. And now here I am, another failure, and I just had an emotional breakdown. And my present wife, she knew something wasn't right. She could tell that I was trying hard, that I was working hard, and that there was no reason for me to be going through this. So she started looking things up on the website, and that's how she came up with ADHD.
Oh, so did you do an online checklist or what?
Well, I started off with the online checklist, but she already made an appointment with me with Dr. Hunt. He's one of the top names in ADHD in the nation. He actually owns the patent for Intuitive. That's the level he works at. So she set up an appointment with him, asked me to, if I'd be willing to go. So I did, and I had two computer batteries that I had to do, and then the interview with Dr. Hunt. Probably the entire diagnosis lasted about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
He questioned everything and, considered other disorders as well, instead of just ADHD. So he didn't just go through the DSM criteria and say, well, it looks good, so yes, you have it. So actually what he told me was I had kick-ass ADHD.
Awesome.
Because I let everything, ADHD controlled me for 35 years, so I was developing lots of bad habits, no structure in my life, and everything just compounded on me over the course of time.
Until you had your breakdown when you were 35.
Exactly. And then I was able to get the proper help. The bad thing is he did just like every other doctor does. He gave me all the great medication, and after I was on the medication, I had all this focus and concentration, but the only thing I could focus on was the mess I made of my life.
Oh.
So that really hit, because for 35 years, the ADHD helped me hide from my problems.
Yeah.
And avoid it. But now my eyes are open, and I can't go back in that closet. I can't just quit taking medication and ignore it again, because there it is in front of me. I have to
the light's gone on. You can't unsee what has been seen.
Exactly. So
what steps did you start taking to, I guess, clean up the mess?
Well, what I did, I had to start doing research on ADHD. I did not know what it is, did not know how it affected me. I knew it affected memories, but that kind of got me concerned about dementias and Alzheimer's. It's like, is this something that puts me at a higher risk? So I started doing a lot of research on it. My first book I read was Dr. Hunt's book, Healing ADD. Love that book. It's written where an ADHDer could read it. Not only that, but he has case studies in there that you could really relate to. I looked at my wife and I told her, I said, Dr. A-Man owes me royalty monies. I said, this guy followed me around, wrote about me, and then took different parts of my life and did it as another individual. I said, this is me. And that really helped me feel better because I knew there was other people that had the same quirks that I
Oh,
had, the same problems I had.
yeah, who
I
were
wasn't
called
alone.
lazy and dumb back all the way back to high school and even earlier.
Exactly. Even Dr. A-Man's wife, which is ADHD, she cannot stand labels in clothing. So she cuts all of her labels out of her clothes.
Hmm.
And of course, when she married Dr. A-Man, she was like, well, I'm going to cut the labels out of his clothes because that's doing a good service for him. Get those irritating labels out. You know, so it was good to see I wasn't the only one that had silly little quirks
Yeah.
that can't be explained. And it made me really, I didn't feel alone anymore. Further in Dr. Amen's book, Killing ADD, he talks about ADHD coaching and the value that it has, that when ADHD coaching is combined with the drug therapy, the patient actually has better results.
Hmm.
So I started researching on that. Of course, we didn't have an ADHD coach here locally for me, so I started looking up and researching coaching and applying the coaching process to myself. And that really helped me turn my life around. Um, I went from being in and out of jobs to the next job I held for 5 years.
Hmm.
The lady I'm married to now, we've been married going on 9 years. That's the longest I've ever had anybody in my life, period.
And
Whether it was girlfriend, friend, wife. This is my third marriage, and it's a lot stronger than it was because she understands ADHD. So
she was the one you said when you were 35, I guess back in
that got me
2004.
the help.
She was the one who
Yes.
got you the help. How did she
Hmm.
know to look this up? How did she
She
know?
just she was just looking at the different traits that I was exhibiting.
Hmm.
Because of course, when you're actually suffering from a disorder, you got certain traits and symptoms that you're going to display that you cannot hide.
Yeah.
It's just apparent to others. And she knew this wasn't the type of person that I was. So she was looking at for another reason why I was lazy or why I wasn't getting things done or why I would avoid certain things. So in doing that, that's how she started coming across ADHD. And every time she would start looking for more answers, it always came back to ADHD. You know, um, of course, ADHD is not just one trait. There's several different things that,
Yeah.
in the DSM criteria that has to be met, as well as these symptoms has to go on, even in the childhood years. But she was able to, at least get that as a educated guess.
Hmm.
And she found an online quiz to take, and I took that online quiz, and that kind of helped reinforce it in order for me to go and get the appointment with Dr. Hunt. So it was really a eye opener, and I had actually learned to live my life all over again. It was like coming out of a coma. After I got on the medication, we was grilling out, and I was patting out the hamburgers, and I actually had to stop and think how to pat out the hamburgers
Hmm.
because now my mind is actually, instead of going on automatic pilot, now my mind was actually having to think about what I was doing
Yeah,
and was actually
there was
having
some more space between your thought and actions, so
exactly
you didn't go with the impulses that you were going before. Is that
right.
it?
Right. I wasn't on autopilot anymore.
Hmm.
And that's how I've been operating for the first 35 years of my life, on autopilot.
Yeah.
And it's just I'm surprised. I don't know how I survived those 35 years, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's just amazing the difference it makes getting that diagnosis and getting the proper help and getting the proper education.
Yeah, definitely. That's what got me onto you is your comment on Dr. Hollowell's site on how important the education is, and so you were
Yes.
now looking up education on what is involved in being an ADHD coach. So where did you start looking? I guess this was back in 2005.
Yes, I was doing research online and finding books on coaching and things like that. And that's how I learned about it. And I got my life coach certification from Life Coach Institute.
Okay, and
So, I'm a
so is
certified.
that where the CLC in your Facebook name
That is
comes
correct.
from?
Certified life coach.
All right.
Don't want to tell on myself, but for some reason, when people come to you for help, they like to see initials at the end of your name. In the coaching profession, that's exactly what they are. They're initials. There's no regulation on the coaching industry. So you see somebody saying that they're accredited. Well, yeah, they're accredited by a body that owns the school.
Yeah, that just has the
So,
trademark. You could get
exactly.
initials behind your name with a weekend course, and away you go, and no accountability.
Exactly, but unfortunately, I do have accountability. I have accountability on myself, and I make sure to improve myself. I got books in my office on ADHD, different anxiety disorders, and so forth. I practiced under Dr. Hunt for a couple summers ago in order to get a better connection on how ADHD coaching fits in to proper ADHD treatments. So I'm very passionate about what I do, and I take what I do a step further. I'm able to help patients communicate with their doctors, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
on their medication benefits, on their side effects. Tell the doctor what the doctor actually needs to know in order to be able to adjust the dosage or change medication, or if they need to look for a separate diagnosis as well that's coexisting with the ADHD.
Well, that's
So,
wonderful that you're able to, be able to communicate with definitely the people themselves with
yes,
ADHD as well as understanding the medical related side with your association with Dr. Hunt. So,
right. And I
so
make
what?
myself,
Yeah. So what
I'm
was
sorry.
it that sorry? So what prompted you to get into coaching then on your own versus just okay, I've helped myself. Now let me live a normal life.
Well, I've always been interested in the mental health profession anyway. That's what I majored in Ball State. Unfortunately, I did not get my degree because of my ADHD.
Mm.
But I've always been interested in mental health profession and helping others. And here I am. I'm going through this, not knowing about ADHD for 35 years because there is no education about it. Then when I found out I had ADHD, I had to repair my life myself. So that's the reason I got into coaching, is to help others. I've gone through it. I've lived it. I applied the coaching process to my life. I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk as well. So it puts me in a position that I can help others. Like, for instance, you have alcoholics that ends up, taking control of a class or becoming a mentor, or what is it that they call a sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's no money in it for them. They could just be a recovered alcoholic, go on with their lives. But they've lived it. They know how important it is to get the right help. So that's why they step up to the plate in order to help others going through the same thing. Same thing about myself. I want to help others that, going through it. I really would like to get people to get the help, you know, in high school or in college while they still have so much of their lives ahead of themselves,
Definitely.
instead of, being in their 40s and thinking to myself, I wished I'd known about it when I was in school so I could have got the help and I could have done better in school and not had the struggles I had for all those years. Have healthier relationships. Another reason I got involved with it is to help the spouses as well. When my wife found out I did have ADHD, she went online She found all these great forums about ADHD and all these spouses on it, but they were doing nothing but telling horror stories.
Oh yes, my wife and I definitely feel the same way. We just did a video the other week trying to put some more positive spin on ADHD and marriage and stuff like that.
Exactly. And she said if she kept reading those forums, she would have divorced me.
Yeah.
But, these people are talking about their spouses that's not getting help or refuse to get help or refuse to change. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there, and a lot of those people, they don't know what the proper help is. Like I said, when I got the medication, that's all I knew was take this once a day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that doesn't help the patient. So the
No.
patient gets frustrated, quits taking the medication because they don't like how it makes them feel. They don't know how to communicate properly with the doctor. They don't know what the medication's for. I get a lot of people say, "How come doctors treat hyperactivity with stimulant medications?" It just doesn't make sense. That's like giving somebody hyper coffee. Well, the part of the brain that controls the hyperactivity is not being normally stimulated.
No, it's not.
So that's what the stimulant medications come into play. It stimulates the executive functioning of the brain that controls the impulses, that controls the hyperactivity, controls the concentration and focus and all the other important stuff that your brain has to do. That's why stimulant medication will calm down a hyperactive person that is truly an ADHDer.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've heard it said. My wife related the story where people in high school and stuff, if they wanted to know whether they had ADHD or not, just before bed, drink a big bottle of Coke, and if they're able to go to sleep with no problem, they probably have ADHD. If not, they're one of those normal individuals.
Exactly. Stimulant medication actually helps an ADHDer sleep better.
Yeah.
You know, and I've always wondered all through my life why I could drink coffee at night and it doesn't keep me up, but everybody else is like, God, how do you do that? I'll be up all night.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I sleep like a baby.
Out of curiosity, are you still on medication?
I am currently not on medication right now. I do desire to get back onto medication. I love Vyvanse. I was on Vyvanse, and I do want to find another provider to prescribe, and that's the only reason I'm not on ADHD medication right now is because I'm no longer seeing my previous prescriber.
Okay.
If I could write my own prescriptions, I would be on it.
So,
Uh,
do you need a specific doctor in Tennessee who will actually, see you about ADHD and see whether what type of prescription you might need, or why is that?
I'm picky.
Okay.
I'm picky, and I haven't taken the time to interview the doctors, and that's one of the things. Knowing what I know, um, and being in the position that I'm in, I want to go sit and down and talk to the doctor, find out what his treatment protocols are, services he provides, insurance acceptance, and so forth. Because when I start using a new doctor, that's also going to be somebody I refer patients to.
Definitely.
Unfortunately, doctors a lot of times have a God complex and they don't feel that they need to go through that process. They feel I'm a doctor, you need the medication, so therefore come to me. So I very rarely get any return phone calls on that request. And I let them know that I am an ADHD coach and I need a referral source. So when I have somebody calling needing a doctor, I could direct them. Not all, a lot of general physicians are treating ADHD,
Yeah.
but they're doing it just like a regular doctor's visit. And I always say, in general medicine, the way that, treatments are done is doctor walks in, shakes your hand, pats you on the back, shows you to the door.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the type of medicine you need to practice with an ADHD or any other mental disorders. You got to do a good, solid interview, 45 minutes to an hour. You got to take time with the patient. Unfortunately, the psychiatrist that does do that, they don't take insurance because insurance do not like mental health. And that's the reason Dr. Hunt doesn't take insurance, and that's one of the reasons I'm not going to Dr. Hunt is because I can't afford to self pay. I have insurance. I'm paying $600 a month for. I think that's what it is. I can't remember.
Yes,
My
yeah,
wife handles
especially as
that.
you're a self-employed individual.
Yeah, well, it's actually my wife's insurance from her work, so that's why I can't remember how much it actually is. Um, but I'm paying all this money for insurance. Well, I need to find a doctor that takes insurance instead of paying more money out of pocket, then have to wrestle with the insurance company on reimbursement.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's one of the good things about me. You can, with doctor's referral, you can file for insurance reimbursement. I'm the only one that I actually know of that has NPI, National Provider Index number.
Oh, so
Uh,
when clients come to you for ADHD coaching, part of your cost can actually be subsidized by their insurance provider?
if it's by doctor's orders, doctor says this is part of their treatment plan. But the only thing is, with insurance reimbursement, especially mental health, it's like playing the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's a crapshoot on if you actually get reimbursed or not. And I always tell my patients that you can file for reimbursement with the proper paperwork, the proper coding, billing codes, but I tell them right out, plan on it being turned down.
Hmm.
Because the insurance companies, they don't like mental health.
No.
And you take care of the mental health, then you take care of the risky behavior and the self-medicating. You take care of the high risk behaviors that causes the injuries. So therefore, you actually reduce the amount that you're paying out on health insurance.
Yeah, definitely a lot of ADHDers. They do seek that thrill and take those unnecessary risks that can wind them up in the ER.
Exactly, and it's estimated 65% of non-treated ADHDers self-medicate.
Yeah.
Whether it's through smoking and coffee or taking drugs.
So, with you not being on prescribed medication, are you self-medicating?
Yes, I do smoke. I do drink coffee. I do plan on quitting smoking this spring, and it's one of the reasons am trying to get back on the Vyvanse because once I lose the nicotine stimulation, of course my body's going to try to compensate and say, "Hey, I need something." So I'm going to do the proper way.
Yeah,
By
definitely.
taking the Vyvanse, one, that's going to give me the stimulation that my body actually needs that's not getting naturally. But two, it's going to help me fight the addiction because my mind will be functioning more properly in order to do that.
Okay, that's wonderful. So, about how many? So you've been doing coaching since 2009, right?
That is
And
correct.
and are most of your clients local? Like, how do you find your clients and stuff like that?
Most of my clients are local, which is a good thing, but also I can take care of clients all throughout the United States. I've had clients as far as Oregon
Mm-hmm.
using telephone coaching or using Skype. Now, my local clients, they could do telephone coaching or Skype as well in the comfort of their home, but I always make it a requirement that they have to meet with me for a certain amount of time face to face so we could build the rapport because you got to have the best rapport as possible in order to be effective. But also, if they're progressing the way that they should and they're doing the work, I use that as a reward factor. Say, okay, well, you're doing good. So let's start with the video coaching or the phone coaching once every session. So they'll come in for one session, then the next session they'll be able to do it by phone or video without having to drive all the way to Smyrna,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll be able to do it in the comfort of their home. As long as they do what they're supposed to do, then we start looking at doing, primarily phone or video coaching if that's what they want to do as a reward. Um, when I start them off face to face, I found by the time that they're given the opportunity to do the video or phone coaching, they don't want to do that. They want to come in face to face because you build that relationship, and
Definitely.
that's what coaching's about. It's about relationship building.
It is about the relationship
Yeah.
building, and I'm wondering, have you built up a community for ADHDers? Since you said when you first started out there was nothing in Tennessee. Since you've set up shop, are there now resources like a support groups or anything like that you've helped found? Or
No, it's just one of those areas that people don't care anything about. They hear ADHD and they automatically turn you off.
yeah,
You say autism, bipolar, depression, they're all ears. They're ready to, have benefits and fundraisers and, what can I do to get involved? But you say ADHD and you could actually see their eyes glass over.
hmm,
And you could actually tell they're trying to pull away from you. I had a metro school teacher come to me and said, we don't have anything in our schools to teach teachers about ADHD.
really?
Really. And that's the thing with the in services in Tennessee. There's not really a state mandated thing as far as how many CU hours you have to get. You have to have so many in service hours that you participate in. And it could be anything from sitting and listening to the principal talk about something or afterwards going to work on lesson plans or whatever. But as far as mental health goes, there's no classes that these teachers are taking. And so I devised a presentation for the teachers. I reached out to the state, couldn't get any calls back from the State Department of Education. So finally, I called the teachers union, and the teachers union said I had to go to each district and try to talk them into letting me present it. Didn't get callbacks on that either. Offered to do it for free, because I wanted to get the word out there. Because I figured if I do it for free, give the teachers this presentation, and they can learn a little bit more about it, then they could tell the parents about me. So in other words, it would end up coming back to me possibly as a client.
Well, yeah, there's definitely
You
that
know,
reciprocal, but definitely just getting the word out because chances are
exactly.
there's an ADHDer in probably at least every grade.
Yeah. The last statistics I've read, it was about 2 to 3 kids per classroom
hmm
has ADHD. That was about 2 years ago, and they are finding that there's more people now being diagnosed. So I don't know what those statistics would be right now.
Well,
And the thing is, it's really hard to get stats on it because people's not recognizing it. They're
yeah.
not going to get diagnosed. They're not exploring the options. So therefore, they estimate that there's even more kids out there that's never been diagnosed.
Oh, definitely. But yeah, definitely the stats I've heard is it's anywhere from 3 to 8% of people of the population have ADHD.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. And
just one question I have: do you
yeah,
do coaching for kids too, or are you adults coaching?
I do teenagers and adults. I do after puberty, mainly due to the fact that once puberty sets in, the hyperactivity component of ADHD actually soothes down,
Yeah.
which is why a lot of people think you outgrow ADHD. It's like, no, it's a tension in hyperactivity disorder, not just a hyperactivity disorder. They still have that problem on focusing, on controlling their impulses, things like that, but they're like, wow, you're not hyperactive anymore. You're cured. Uh, which
Little do
leads
they
to other
know.
diagnosis. But I found working with, high school kids and the adults is a lot easier.
hmm
When I do have somebody come with a child with ADHD, I do tell them I could do coaching sessions for them and to help you with your child.
Well, and
But
especially with ADHD, there's that strong genetic component. So if the child has it, chances are at least one or both of the parents have it as well.
Exactly, and that actually has been the case where a parent or grandparent has taken a child in, got diagnosed with ADHD, and in the clinical interview with the doctor, and the doctor asking these questions, the guardian was like, "Well, yeah, but I was like that too,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like that too," and the doctor ends up saying, "Well, have you been evaluated?" And I have heard of people as old as 78 years old being diagnosed with ADHD
Wow.
and getting on the ADHD medication and just be totally amazed how it
Mm-hmm.
transformed their lives and it made things start making sense.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing is we got to get the ADHD education out there because when people recognizes ADHD and they know more about it, the people that needs to get the help is going to get the help.
Yeah, definitely. Hold on one moment. I just have a neighbor asking a question. I'll be right back.
All right.
Um, there's a bug in our bath.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, thanks for letting me know.
Is Dad up here?
No, he's not. He's still outside.
Still? Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
So,
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
I got a neighbor telling me about a bug he has in his bathroom.
Yeah, that's what I thought he said. That's what I thought he said. I was like, okay, he's got a bug in his bath. All right.
Kids.
Yeah,
So definitely, that's just amazing. You got 78-year-old grandmother getting diagnosed and stuff like that.
exactly.
So one thing looking at your profile and stuff
Hmm.
is I see that you're a very strong Christian and Mason.
Yes.
How is that tied into your ADHD life and coaching services?
Well, I am a Christian life coach. But as far as the Christian part of life coaching, I believe that if a person's heart is not open, then they're not going to feel the message of Christ. They're not ready to accept it. So I don't try to push that on my patients or on my clients. Um, I do let them know I'm willing to pray with them if they want
Mm-hmm.
to start a session off with praying. Let them know that they could approach me and talk to me about it if they ever want to. But I don't press it on them because my job is to help them in their lives and improve their quality of life. Well, once that happens, then the chances are that their heart is open to receive that love, and then I'm willing, if they ask, to share that with them. But I don't believe in, um, when you're trying to help somebody, to automatically start getting the Bible out and flip through scriptures and say, "Well, you got ADHD." Well, according to First John, you know. Um, I do believe in the power of Christ, the healing power of Christ. But the thing is, God has put certain gifts in us so we could help each other.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, there's some religions that will not go see a doctor. They say, if our faith is strong enough, we could heal ourselves through Christ's power. It's like, uh, but your faith apparently isn't strong enough because you're not recognizing the gifts that God has given these doctors to think at that level, to make the diagnosis, to do the treatments, to invent these medical machines,
Yeah.
x-ray machines, like look at animals. How many dogs or monkeys do you know that could work at that level? God gave us the gift of intelligence and knowledge for us to use among each other. So to me, when you refuse to use a doctor, you're refusing to use God's gifts, you know. And it's funny, everybody prays and hopes their prayer is answered by their own way.
Mm-hmm.
God answers prayers in God's way. And they don't know that, this guy that went through medical school and learned all this stuff and has the gift of healing, they don't know if God put that in them or not.
No, of course, and
But
and there's also that stigma with mental illnesses and stuff
Hmm.
to do with mind altering drugs in
Yeah.
many Christian communities.
And that's one thing that I do hate, and I do like the more PC correct term is mental disorder
Hmm.
or brain disorder, because mental illness is always being related to the sanitariums and
Yeah,
stuff.
let's lock them up,
Oh,
throw away the
lobotomy.
keys, the straight
Ex-
jackets.
Exactly, and you're crazy if you have a mental illness. Which is not the case. There's different levels of mental illnesses and different severities and different impairments in the way that the brain controls. So a lot of people don't want to be declared mentally ill because then they feel they're mentally incompetent.
Hmm.
And it's like, no, that's not the case. It just means, your brain is not getting what it needs. One of the things I like about Dr. Amen, Dr. Amen believes we need to quit depending on DSM criteria as much for a list of symptoms as remembering the brain is an organ.
Yeah.
Treat it like an organ. You're not going to go to the heart doctor because you're having cardio problems and he flipped through pages looking up symptoms and say, okay, this is what you got. He's going to run tests on you. He's going to stick wires up to you, check your rhythms and everything. He's going to give you echogram. He's going to check for blockage. He's going to find out what's wrong with your heart. He's not going to just scroll through pages. And Dr. Amen believes the same thing needs to be done with the brain. There's different tests that you could do with the brain. See what type of brain waves your brain's putting out, how it results to different stressors, and things like that. And until we start actually understanding the brain more, we're going to stay in the dark ages.
We are, and definitely it's something that's more research is bringing more stuff to light each and every day. And so, as a coach and member of this mental health community, basically, you got to keep up on it. So,
And
yeah.
that's one research I would love with all the mental disorders that we're having now. One research I would love to be done is the effect of the mother's nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
because now the foods that we eat lack nutrition. So when the mother's trying to conceive, make sure she's taking proper supplements. Make sure to test her blood for the proper nutritional values throughout the 3 stages of trimester. See how much demand that body is placing on what's being given, adjust the dosage, test the mother's milk for the nutrition it's giving the baby, and start testing the baby's blood after it's born. And, make sure he's supplemented. But if you do that, the brain is going to be healthier. It's going to have the vitamins it needs to develop properly.
Yeah.
And I think our nutrition value that we're getting nowadays, plus our lack of exercise, our dumbing down by watching TV, not having any social skills because we got Facebook, we got video games, all that has something to do with the way our brain's developing because we're not feeding our brain,
No.
we're not giving it the proper exercise or the proper stimulation.
So, in your coaching, do you make that part of a component of your coaching? Tell your patients, "Hey, go out there and actually exercise. Hey, take your
Yes.
omega threes."
Yes, health and wellness is a very big part of the coaching process in my practice. 30 minutes exercise a day when possible. Of course, I know a lot of times people don't have 30 minutes a day that they could exercise, but if they just walk, do something to get the heart pumping, get things moving,
Mm-hmm.
taking supplements. I am Amen affiliated education center, certified by Dr. Amen himself, and he has great supplements, clinical grade supplements that he designed and he tested for ADHD, for energy, for brain power, for weight loss, and things like that. So you're getting the proper supplements, getting your omega 3s, getting your exercise, getting your proper sleep, participating in stress reduction such as meditation, your sociability, getting involved with the group that you can feel useful in. All that stuff helps you. So I do definitely encourage that throughout my coaching practice.
So, are you a distributor of these supplements?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I can distribute those. You could also order them online, and I have a discount code, which is E as in Edward Center 44, and it's all there's no spaces. And anybody that uses that E Center 44 will get a discount, whatever discount level they have, in place at the time.
Okay.
Uh,
All right.
so,
Well, we're coming up near the end of our interview, so let's just wrap up with some of those resources,
all
online
right,
resources that people can get a hold of you if they want to talk to you more, become a client, or are interested in some of the products that you sell. So just
right.
your no guilt free plug spot. Tout your horn.
Right. Well, my website address is newbeginningcoaching.net, and that has all the information as far as my practice on there. Plus, I'm on Facebook. You could look in the search bar for New Beginnings Coaching as well. Sometimes you may have to put the Smyrna, Tennessee in there.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, my Facebook page for myself is public. So all you have to do is, type in Jason Bour and you'll be able to find that. That's Bour. As far as the Dr. Amen's materials, I always advise my clients to go directly to his website, amenclinics.com, and use my discount code because he has the best information. Unless I take everything off his website, copy it verbatim. Not only that, but his employees are better to answer questions about different products than I am because they're well versed in it. They deal with it every day. So I always encourage them. Like they say, you want to go directly to the horse.
Yeah.
Not only that, but they can see the other products that he has. His books on ADHD, very easy to read, even for the ADHD. Dr. Amen, he's a great guy and he tries to relate to his audience. His books are very fun to read. Also, he has a lot of information on weight loss, a lot of things that people don't consider. Like, you always hear eat less, exercise more, but you don't understand your body's not hungry because it wants food. It's hungry because it needs water and it needs nutrition. And if you're not taking care of those things, then you're going to constantly binge eat and things
Yeah.
like that. So, his weight loss program, and he has, I think he has a cookbook on his website that his wife authored. A lot of good resources on his website. So, when it comes to Dr. Amen's products, I prefer that they go directly to Dr. Amen's website because there's a wealth of information on there.
All right. That's
Doc, Dr. Amen also on public TV. He will have his programs on public TV because he supports public television, and he rather for if anybody's going to profit off of it as far as media goes, he rather's for the public television to
yeah.
get money out of it. So he does support national public TV.
Oh, that's definitely wonderful, and I'll do my best to write all this up on the show notes for our listeners to see. Thank you so much, Jason Bour, and all
So
the
thank you,
best.
Michael.
Hopefully, spring will finally come to Tennessee.
Oh, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. We're looking at it getting into 60-degree temperatures this weekend. So I'm getting people griping at me because I'm talking about snow. I run the Rutherford County weather page. I'm a storm spotter, ham operator, so weather's one of the hobbies for me. So
Okay, that
uh,
explains your banner image.
exactly. So when I'm forecasting snow on my weather page, I'm getting people gripe at me. Hey, it's springtime. What's going on?
Hey, you're just the messenger.
Exactly. That's what I put on one of my posts. Don't shoot the messenger.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your message with us, and for definitely helping spark the ADHD community down in Tennessee. And I'm Michael Hurd with ADHD Expression, See you next time.
Thank you, Michael.